Here we are at the end of the 12th month of another year on this silly little planet that we call Earth. 2017 was okay. Some good stuff happened, some bad stuff happened. Overall, it was pretty typical, but overall, and it is unfortunate that I have to say this, I have trouble saying that it was a good year for Steven Universe. So because I'm too lazy to actually come up with my own New Year's resolutions and actually stick to them, I've decided to put together a list of the top 12 things that I'd like to see in this coming year from Steven Universe in honor of the end of the 12th month of this year. Yep, it's definitely because of that, not because I just couldn't narrow the list down to 10 things. That said, let's just jump right into the list with number 12. And yes, before anyone asks, the order of this list is important. This does go from what I consider to be the least important to what I consider to be the most important. It also kind of goes from what I consider to be the most likely to the least likely, so keep that in mind. First of all, I want to see new spins on old stories. We've kind of been getting this with the recent Sadie and the Cool Kids episodes. They've had a very different feel to them than the old Cool Kids episodes and the old Lars and Sadie episodes, mostly because of Sadie's much heavier involvement as of late, and the fact that as of Sadie Killer, it actually feels like these characters are getting an arc, which is really neat. But towny episodes like that aren't the only kinds of episodes that Steven Universe is known to do. This show has enough different kinds of episodes, story episodes, filler episodes, etc., that it has plenty of its own tropes at this point to subvert and reinvent. Basically, remember how I thought that the new Crystal Gems was going to be Connie, Lapis, and Peridot fighting a corrupted gem the way that Steven, Pearl, Garnet, and Amethyst used to? And then it turned out that that wasn't the case. Well, I still want to see something like that. I still want to see a corrupted gem appear again, and the characters have to tackle defeating it in a new kind of way. Maybe the other gems finally make Steven the definitive leader of the group and he has to lead them in a quest to defeat a corrupted gem, and the others specifically don't give him any input unless he asks for it. Something like that. Recently, the series has had 3 kinds of episodes. Episodes which give us a bit of the meatier story stuff, episodes which probably should give us meaty story stuff, but seem to purposely avoid doing so, and episodes with the townspeople. We need a 4th kind of episode, or we need to take the concept of one of those 3 kinds of episodes and really mix it up. Otherwise, things are just going to get stale. Number 11 and number 10. It's really about time that we got a flashback episode from the perspective of each Pearl and Amethyst. This one's pretty simple, though I will expand on this in a later entry on this list, so if my reasoning here seems a little scarce, that's in part why. We've already gotten flashbacks from the perspective of Greg and Garnet. That's about half of the regular characters in this show who really have a significant history for us to tap into. That leaves the pasts of Pearl and Amethyst left to explore. What events from their history can we get in a flashback style episode? Number 9, a good Ronaldo episode. It's no secret that I tend not to like Ronaldo episodes. If he's just kind of there, hanging out in the background, interacting with other characters, but the story isn't really about him, he's fine. And I tend to like the guy. But, and I will freely admit that this is in part because Ronaldo reminds me of myself, it really bothers me that every single episode to focus directly on his character has been at best bad and at worst downright insulting and harmful. If the crew is going to continue to include this character in the series as regularly as he's included, they need to do something with him. They need to either make him an unlikable character and develop him as such, or they need to actually move his characterization forward. Otherwise, people are just going to keep being bothered by his presence, and if they're anything like me, it's going to sour their opinion of the show overall. Number 8. More separate yet parallel development for Lars and Sadie. This one I think is very self-explanatory. For a long time, Lars, and more specifically Sadie, really only grew as characters when they were together. In fact, it got so bad that for a while it seemed as Sadie was never going to get any development apart from Lars's character, that she was only a character there to support him. Recent episodes have shown that they are strong enough characters to stand on their own, and I have really liked the recent pattern of them getting episodes full of really substantial development where they both come out of their shells, and even as a result, take their lives in new directions. It's really exciting stuff for these 2 great characters in the show, and I want to see more of it. Number 7. An actual Lion 4. This one's pretty simple. I didn't like Lion 4 alternate ending. It has some good stuff in it, sure, most specifically in the background of the episode, but overall it came off as too much of a retread of Lion Lion 3 straight to video. Lion episodes, after the initial debut of Lion, anyway, have tended to be episodes where we learned something significant. Unless the significance of Lion 4 has yet to be revealed to us, that just wasn't the case this time, and it made the episode a big letdown. Seeing that title in the episode lineup got me excited, but after watching the episode, I was underwhelmed enough that it got me wondering if they didn't give it that title just to get people hyped. That's how disappointed with it I was. Even if the show only has one more of these in it, I still want to see another Lion episode where we actually learn something substantial. Number 6. More of Homeworld. We got to go to Homeworld. We got to see a bit of it. I was expecting that Lars and the off-colors would stay there for a while, and through them, or I guess through Lars specifically, we would get to see even more of it, possibly on a regular basis. But that didn't end up being the case. From what we have seen so far, it really does seem like the parts of Homeworld that we've seen are ancient, are parts that aren't really lived in anymore. Hence why Homeworld's government feels okay with sending those seeker droids in willy-nilly to destroy any gem that they come across, because the only gems that would be there are gems that are off color. This means that we haven't seen any of the modern populated areas of Homeworld yet, and at this point I really feel like it's about time that we did, either through a flashback or through actually going there. Kind of in a similar vein, we have number 5, the off-colors coming to Earth. Yeah, I know Lars and the off-colors are out in space being space pirates, and that's great, really. It's awesome. But if Lars and the off-colors aren't going to stay on Homeworld, if they aren't going to be our avenue and our reason to go back to Homeworld, they need to come to Earth. They're excellent characters. I want to see them interact with the main characters. Is it really so much to ask to see Garnet interact with Rhodonite and Fluorite? Do you have any idea how much I want to see Garnet interact with Rhodonite and Fluorite? You probably do, because you're a fan of this show too. As cool as it is that Lars is flying around in space, and that the off-colors are with him, the nature of the way that this show tells its stories means that we will get more out of those characters if they are on Earth, where we can interact with them on a regular basis. They need to come back to Earth. It's the best thing for the story, for their characterization, and for the fans. It's really as simple as that. Number 4. The answer to the question of Pearl's silence. It's something that the fandom has talked about a bit in the past, the fact that Pearl literally doesn't seem able to talk about her time on Homeworld. The recent episode Gemcation kind of brought this up again, all but confirming it to be true, when the very literal, very precise Pearl flat out said that there are things that she wants to tell Steven, but that she can't. Now that it's all but been confirmed, it really does feel like the crew is teasing us with the possibility that Pearl will find some way to work around whatever mental block is preventing her from speaking, and that we are very close to getting some sort of story about her time on Homeworld. It really feels like that's coming, and it feels like it's coming soon. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to put it on this list, because the prospect of that just sounds fantastic. R. Sugar has been saying that Pearl is the character that Steven knows the least about for a reason, and I think the reason is that her past is the key to unlocking so much of the story that we don't know yet. The fact that we seem to be nearing all of these revelations, it gets me really excited. Kind of jumping off of that one, at least I think, we have number 3, White Diamond. This one's actually pretty simple. I, like many fans of the show, believe that Pearl has some connection to White Diamond. I think the most likely way that we're going to see White Diamond in the near future is via a flashback from Pearl's perspective told to Steven. A flashback similar to the flashback in The Answer, that I don't think will meet her in any other way before that happens. But either way, it's about time that White Diamond was in the show, one way or the other. We've seen the other diamonds at this point, so unless she is just that much more spectacular than the ones we've already seen, the longer that they wait to introduce her to us, the more disappointed we're going to be if she doesn't turn out as spectacular as we all think she is. In other words, the sooner that we see her at this point, I think, the better. Number 2. A breakaway from the strict Steven's POV only policy. Yeah, I know, it's been a thing with this show since the very beginning that we see everything through a sort of limited third-person perspective centered on the main character, Steven Universe. It's one of the gimmicks of the show, but it's hurting the show now more than it's helping it. At the beginning, when Steven was in the dark about so many things, and the gems intended to keep it that way, at least for a while longer, telling the story strictly from his point of view was a great idea because it meant that we learned everything everything as he learned it. It allowed the writers to tell the story at their own pace, to unfold the tapestry of this story as they saw fit. But now Steven knows more. Nowadays, if Steven learns something, he tends to learn it as the other characters do. There is literally no reason to be so strict regarding this specific format any longer. We are right at the beginning of a new season of Steven Universe. This would be the perfect time to break away from the format and do something new, and I really hope that that's what happens. But I've put this one near the end of this list because, while it is one of the things that I want to see happen the most, I do feel that it is one of the least likely to happen. Though it doesn't hold a candle to how much I want to see this next thing, or how unlikely I think that it is. And let me just say, as much as it hurts for me to say this, when it comes to how unlikely I think this next thing is, I really hope I'm wrong, because number one is more episodes. It's no secret that recently people have been less impressed with Steven Universe. And while yes, some recent episodes have been weaker than past episodes, I think a big reason why people are more disappointed with the show recently than in the past is because of how infrequently we get new episodes now. It's ridiculous. The way that Cartoon Network schedules this show is asinine. We get a few episodes here or there, usually right after one another in some special event or Steven Bomb, and then we don't get episodes again for months. It's absolutely ridiculous. In those months between episodes, you have a portion of your audience that loses interest, and you have a portion of your audience who gets super hyped, only to be let down when the next episode that's released is just a regular average episode of the show and nothing special. It's only hurting the series at this point. In fact, I can't think of a time where this crappy schedule ever helped it. It needs to stop. It needs to stop, or Cartoon Network just needs to admit that they don't care about the show and cancel it. Obviously, I don't want that to happen, but I don't want to see the show continually mistreated like this either. So here I am, hoping above anything else that in the year 2018 we get more episodes of Steven Universe, because at this point it is the schedule of this show more than anything else that is hurting its future. And seeing as how I don't really have a segue, that wraps up my list. What did you guys think of it? Do you agree? Do you disagree? What would you change? What would you keep? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below. Either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.